Hi.
Hi,
I
Maria.
love that we're starting the recording giggling because we just had sort of some technical difficulties we're working
Yes,
through. So
which were
we're
my fault.
already laughing. How are
Yeah.
you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Me too. And I guess with we were just saying before this is how it's like so obvious that we're in very different seasons. Siobhán is in summer right now, and I'm clearly in
Yeah.
the middle of winter. Um,
Yes.
So I guess we're talking about holiday stress today. I don't know. I guess before we dive into the topic, do you want to introduce yourself quickly, and I'll do the same.
Yes. I'm Siobhán, and I'm a coach that helps people with anxiety, overwhelm, and overthinking, which is absolutely perfect for this time of year. Just like Santa, it's my busiest time of year as well because everyone is freaking out. And so I'm looking forward to talking to Maria a bit more about what we can maybe do to help people see their experience of the holidays in a new way. And who are
Yep,
you,
I love
Maria?
that. Yes, thank you. So my name is Maria Stoyanova. I am burnout prevention and self-care coach. My business is called Rest Over Grind. This is also, how you've seen me on Instagram where I'm posting this. So, and again, as Siobhan said, holidays, prime time for burnout, for exhaustion, for people forgetting, even though it's supposed to be sort of vacation time and restful time, it's actually like quite the opposite. People are having a really hard
Yes.
time resting, right? So
Yes. And that's such a funny paradox as well, isn't it? And that's kind of how we got onto this topic because we were talking a little while ago about how when we were kids and the holidays was like just so fun. Like my birthday is actually January 2nd. So I remember
oh
breaking
wow.
up from school and having 2 weeks off school and having Christmas. And then it
I
would be
know.
New Year, which meant we'd have a fun babysitter. And then it would be my birthday and have lots more presents. And everything was just amazing. And then I came to be an adult and everything just seemed to turn to shit.
I love it. That's the theme. You become an adult, everything turns to shit. I mean,
Yeah. But like, why is that? And that's kind of how we got onto it. It's like, well, how come when we're
right.
young, everything is so fun when it comes to holidays, and we saw like the adults like losing their mind, and it just seemed like I think you said like it just didn't make sense to you that the adults were so stressed. Like, how could they be stressed? It's Christmas, right?
Exactly. It was like my favorite time of the year. Like I would look forward to it for months and months. I mean, it still is.
Yeah.
Like I don't hate it now. I still love it. But also now there's like all the adult stress on top of it. I literally
Yeah.
put it, I thought it's just something people say for fun, like holiday stress. I was like, haha, that's hilarious. Like that's just
Yeah.
not possible, right?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
I grew up and I was like, okay, I can see what everyone was talking about with
Yeah.
holiday stress because there's just so much that happened. We'll start unpacking that I guess in a
Yeah.
second.
Well, let's do that then. So, what do you think is the biggest difference between a child looking forward to the holidays and an adult that experiences what we're calling holiday stress? Like, apart from the obvious differences, like one's a bit taller, but what do you think is kind of going on there that makes a holiday stressful?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like all of the obviously like the more we adult, the more we grow up, the more sort of social messaging we get about like everything. Like we
Yeah.
learn so many things from the world, and it all, of course, it all depends also in sort of what kind of identity we grow up in. Like women learn different things, people of color learn different things. Like we all have social messages that really mess us up as we grow up and like really create like wreak havoc into our brain because those
Yeah.
things like we learn those social messages and then we like repeat them to ourselves and they start seeming true, like, and then
Yes.
we're like, okay, this is the truth, and I need to do this, I need to finish this, I need to show up in a certain way, I
Yeah.
should or shouldn't react in the fall. Like we have so many shoulds in our head. And of course, around the holiday, like this all comes to a head because you have like a combination of like work wrapping up towards the end of the year. And so you have work deadlines and you also put internal pressure on yourself about like, I should have accomplished X by the holidays. Then you have family, you're coordinating travel plans. Obviously, like meeting with family always causes a lot of thoughts and a lot of stress for everyone.
Yeah.
There's just so many things. But yeah, it's really just social conditioning messes us
Yeah.
up as we grow up.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a kind of the heart of a lot of work that we maybe do with people, is understanding that our thoughts aren't ours. They're kind of like the end product of going through this filter of conditioning, which we experience from when we were very, very small. So it looks to me like when we're young and we're kids, we look at things through the filter of just our experience up to that point, which is a lot of fun, right? Like nap,
Right.
eat, play with a toy, have a cuddle with a parent, like that's awesome. But then as we get older and older, we are subject to more conditioning from the outside world, which, just like you said, is just full of like a ton of should thinking. So we should have achieved X by the end of the year. We should be making plans to see this person and this person, this person, this person over the holidays. Like there's just so much, isn't there? That, and then it's no wonder that we kind of feel so overwhelmed, because we think that there's all this stuff that we should be doing. But like, I would love to kind of illuminate that a bit for people. And because I think the key thing is understanding that that's not true. Like, and it can be true if you want it to be, but you have a choice. Right. And I'd love for people to kind of see that, you know, those aren't your thoughts, those are society's thoughts. And what do you want, person?
Exactly. And yeah, you came up with this sort of amazing way to describe this. There's like holiday brain, which is like the brain that tells you all the social messaging, right? And then there's like you, like the person who can actually discern what of that you want to believe and which of that you wanna is not necessarily serving you.
Yeah.
Do you wanna do, since it's your idea and I just stole it, do you wanna talk a little more about that?
It's okay, because you called it amazing at the beginning, so it's fine. Anyway, it's a shared thing. Yeah, so a way I kind of like thought would be a simple way of highlighting this difference is holiday brain and you, the real you. Okay. And holiday brain is the conditioned brain which has been subject to all of the expectations from society for so long that it looks true. But the real you is the person that I kind of described at the beginning, that's so excited, that loves like all the fun things, not just about the holidays, but life generally. Like, let's say that we are much more like the kind of children that we were, that like childlike and playful and curious, and like just let kind of like thoughts and feelings move through rather than ruminate. Like you don't really see children like ruminating and going over what they did in the past. so much.
Such a great point.
Yeah, right. And I believe that humans generally are like that, but then it gets covered up with the brain, right? And so the brain, which we've already said, is kind of subject to all this conditioning, which is not our fault. It literally cannot be helped. So the distinction is holiday brain versus real you. So holiday brain is the one, if you like, that has all these expectations. So an example would be like holiday brain thinks you need to spend time with your parents, your partner's parents, and also the neighbors and their parents, right? And right. you need to fit this in over, I don't know, like a 7-hour period. Like that's a made up thing. Whereas you, the real you, and this will be kind of different for everyone, but the real you, if I think of me, would be like, what a lovely opportunity to spend some quality time with people, but I don't have to fit them all in as holiday brain says, and it doesn't have to look the way holiday brain thinks it should. Another one I'm seeing a ton at this kind of time of year, and I bet you are as well, is as people are coming up to end of year targets and things like that, and they're going a bit crazy. So holiday brain will say, we need to get this done before we finish up for the holidays. But the real you, like, is not subject to those same expectations in the same way. The real you knows, it's like, hey, you know what? There's only 24 hours in a day, and I'm not expected to work all of those either. Like, the real you has more of a sense of what's realistic, what's what's possible, what feels good without burning out. Whereas holiday brain has no perception of what is realistic or logical. It just has all of the weight of society's expectations on you. So it would be really cool for people to kind of like sense the difference between that. What do you think?
No, that's such a good way of describing it. Yeah, it's like all of those thoughts that are like really unhopeful in a way, and that really cause sort of tension in your body and like a lot of stress. Those are what you're describing as holiday brain. And those are the ones that sort of coaching really helps you pause, unpack, like look at them. Because often we don't even realize we have them, right? We're just like running ragged. And we're like, I don't know why I'm so stressed. Yeah. And then you sit down and talk to a coach or do some journaling, and then you're like, here's why I'm so stressed, because I have these 17 thoughts about how I should be acting today. Right? Like that's why.
I love what you just said then about I can't remember the exact words you used, but somehow the feeling like you know it's holiday brain because you feel like shit, right? And I love that as a really simple way of identifying what's holiday brain and what's you. Like holiday brain comes with this feeling of urgency and overwhelm and anxious thinking, right? And that's kind of an easy clue, like, hey, it's holiday brain that you're listening to, rather than the real you. Even if you like have to still make a difficult decision, like, oh, am I going to see this parent or this parent on this day, or whatever. It doesn't mean that you always has a really simple, straightforward and easy time, but it comes with a kind of calmness, like I don't know, let me think about it, let me talk to someone. But the holiday brain is like, oh my God, wow, great, there's an emergency, everything's an emergency. That's holiday brain.
Exactly. And that's not to say that once you figure out, what you actually want to do, which is a very important thing to figure out, that you're never going to have sort of a difficult emotion around it. Of course you will, because you might sort of have some guilt, you might, tell yourself a bunch of things again, but it's still much better than sort of doing what you don't want to do because you're going to have some difficult emotions either way. So might as well tune into what you want to do and process those emotions than do a bunch of things you don't want to do and still have difficult emotions. You know what I mean?
I love that. Well, that's a great message. Hey, humans, you're going to feel like shit, whatever. so pick your flavor.
Some of the time you will, and some of the time you'll feel amazing either way, but might as well sort of pick what you want to do in that case, right?
Yeah. I really love what you're saying there, Maria, because at this time of year, people expect maybe so much of the stress and anxiety and the overwhelm and things, and they expect to not enjoy themselves and all the things. And then they may hear something like me and you being like, oh, well, it's just holiday brain. And then they're like, oh, great. Well, if I can recognize what holiday brain is, then I'm going to feel awesome all the time. And we're not saying that either.
No, not at all. That's a really good way to sort of use all of this work against yourself and be like, okay, if Siobhán and Maria said it's holiday brain, then and I still feel bad, something's wrong with me. No.
Good point.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, it's just so human to feel all the feels, right? And that's what kind of comes with this being alive package that we've all got. And so I guess I want people to see that it's maybe not so much about how you feel, even though that's nice, right? Because if we were to say, whatever happens, you're going to feel great sometimes and you're going to feel like shit sometimes.
Yeah.
But maybe what is more impactful is understanding where you have the agency around that, like understanding, where do I have choices this holiday, rather than just assuming that everything's already kind of been decided for you in terms of deadlines, expectations, what you're going to eat and all the things. Like, well, what actually do you want? Like, where can you make choices about how things may be a bit different this year?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I usually don't coach my clients on any sort of action items. We just work through, their thoughts, and based on that, then of course they decide what they want to do. But there's this is the one phase where there's like an action item I would actually recommend. And it's still, the purpose of it is to get to the bottom of, what are the unhelpful thoughts behind it. But it's really just look at the to-do list that is stressing you out, like your holiday I need to accomplish all of the following things for the holidays, and really sort of get curious whether you want to be doing some of the things, or whether you're sort of feeling some of that external pressure, like this person's going to be mad at me if I don't, or this person's going to think X, blah, blah, blah. And that's sort of just, if you approach it with curiosity, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because it's a little confusing. Like, it gets murky in your head. You're like, well, is it because of me, or is it because I like holiday brain is too like very good at deceiving you, in the sense that it's like, well, because you're such a good friend, you need to like go see all of your 70 friends over a 2-day period, and that's not true. You're gonna know, as you said, like, you're gonna know it's not true if you feel terrible, like if you feel super tense, like hyperventilating reading it. That's not a good feeling. Right? But sort of look at your list critically, just to figure out if it is really something you want to be doing, or it's something you kind of feel some sort of pressure from yourself or from others into doing. And either way, you're gonna, like, if it's something you feel pressured to do, then you can make the decision of whether you can still do it, but you just know, at least you know you've done it consciously. And if it's something you really want to be doing, then you feel sort of more empowered. You're like, okay, I've looked at this is a true priority. And then you feel, you sort of go into it with a different vibe, rather than like, oh, another day on my list, right?
Yeah. Like you say, kind of doing it consciously, rather than feeling you're being dragged through the holidays by your own brain. Yeah.
It's sort of the way I describe it. Sometimes it's like, what do you feel pulled towards versus what do you feel like pushed towards? Like, if you feel like pushed, that's not great. You're like, someone's shoving me towards this, I don't want to be doing it. Versus like, I really feel pulled towards this. There still might be, again, like, there might be some stress, there might be whatever, but I feel called to do this. I feel pulled toward it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, nice. I think another thing that I noticed with holiday brain is that holiday brain loves to predict how things are going to go. So if you're like looking through your list, like Maria just described, and to kind of like look at it maybe with fresh eyes, like, well, what really needs to be done, and what about this and what about that? So I want people to kind of see that holiday brain is going to want to tell you how people are going to react to your decision. So if you're like, oh, actually, I'm not going to have a enormous 20-person brunch for all the girls this year, it's going to be like maybe a quiet thing or whatever, holiday brain is going to want to say, well, you're going to lose all your friends, they're not going to like you, you're going to be alone forever, and all of that. And you can kind of see that as well with maybe thinking of concessions around unrealistic deadlines at work. Like, your boss is going to fire you. Like, holiday brain knows what's going to happen, and it's always the worst thing. So I'd love people to kind of be onto that. I'd like people to kind of think of a time where they thought the worst thing was going to happen. I bet you won't have to look very hard to find one, but it didn't. And I think we can, all of us, see loads of examples of that, where we always thought the worst, because that's holiday brain and FYI, brains generally. And things went better. Like, I hear this all the time. I see it in my own life, where things were never as bad as what I think. So if you're kind of looking at, maybe you want to say to your boss, oh, hey, you know what, I'm not going to meet that point of the project by the end of December. And holiday brain's going to say, well, you're going to get fired for sure. But I really would like invite you to kind of like just disregard that. If you're feeling that feeling that we kind of mentioned, like that shit feeling, anxious or overwhelmed, that's your clue that it's holiday brain. And remember, holiday brain doesn't know what's going to happen in the future, but it loves to pretend it does.
Right. It loves to pretend it knows what's going to happen in the future, and also it loves to pretend that it at all time knows what everyone is thinking. Like, even in the present, it's like, I am sure I know exactly what everyone is thinking, and it's always something terrible about me.
Yes.
Somehow our brains think that everyone's always sitting around thinking terrible things exactly about us.
Yes. And isn't that kind of funny that everyone else is thinking bad things about us constantly? But yeah, how can that be true when we're all just thinking about ourselves, thinking about other people thinking about us?
Like, actually think about how often you actually like think about, I mean, obviously I'm not saying we're all like sociopaths never think about other people. Of course we do. But how often do you actually sit at home like thinking something terrible about someone else? Like I bet it's very, very infrequently.
Yeah.
But yet we assume everyone else is doing it about us.
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
make any sense, right?
Yeah, exactly that. Like I love for people just to be on to what's going on. You don't even have to fix it. You can still run around like a headless chicken if you want. But just be on to what's happening. Like just expect that holiday brain is going to show up. It's probably with you right now thinking, oh my God, I shouldn't be watching this. I should be, I don't know, shopping for a turkey or whatever. I think there's a turkey shortage though. So holiday brain's going to freak
Oh no, we just lost all of the viewers. We're now going to a panic shop turkeys.
So I'll kind of just like my main point, which I've just loved people to hear, is just holiday brain is coming.
It's coming.
And you can recognize it so easily by the feeling, and the feeling is feeling of shit, right? Mm-hmm. That's holiday brain. And so we've talked a ton about holiday brain, but remember there's you, and that you is the like curious, playful, like fun-loving person that's just been covered up by a ton of like conditioning from society, but it's in there somewhere. And what would you say about how you want the holidays to go? And then somehow maybe you can live in harmony.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I like the living in harmony, right? Because holiday brain is not going anywhere, or our brain in general. It just comes with us wherever we go, which is why when you go into a different situation, you find yourself soon after changing situations having the same thoughts as before. It's because our brains join us into the new situation.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I know the soundtrack for this situation is the following. Let me put it on.
So true. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. Even if it's like we're calling it holiday brain now, but a week or two after that it's going to be New Year's resolution brain, and then after that it's going to be, I don't know, Valentine's brain, and I'm not married yet, and it's still going to be the same. Yeah.
So the point is not to like try to shut it out or try to like mute it. That doesn't work. Just know it's there, and like you said, just have some awareness around it. Like have some awareness about like why it's having some thoughts. It's sort of very normal to have those thoughts. Like we're all social creatures, and evolutionarily, we were all relying on other people to survive. So there's very numerous reasons why your brain is like panicking about what everyone else is thinking about it. Super normal, doesn't make it true. The fact that it's normal doesn't make it true, right?
Oh my God, I love that. Right, I want that on a t-shirt, a summer t-shirt. Yes, it doesn't make it true. That's so oh God, even if just people could really kind of see that for the simple truth that it is, that would just make a ton of difference. But I think we love to overcomplicate things, and particularly people that I work with, almost like the smarter they are, the less they can accept how simple it is, that it's normal for your brain to freak out, but you don't kind of have to go there, right? You can just go, oh yeah, brain, oh, cute.
I feel like the more, you're totally right, because I work with sort of very high achieving women too. I think the more perfectionistic tendencies you have, which is I'm sure a lot of your clients and a lot of mine, the more sort of all or nothing thinking you have. And you're like, it's either good or bad. It's either, if holiday brain is here, then everything's terrible. If everything was good, holiday brain would never exist. Like it's all sort of all of this, like, all or nothing. I guess one more thing I would say is sometimes it helps for like brains like mine who may be listening to all this and be like, okay, but there is still some chance someone's thinking something terrible about me, right? Like it's not impossible statistically. Then to be like, okay, maybe that's true. Statistically, you're right. There is like a 0.5% chance that that's happening. And you can still, sort of support yourself through that and have your own back and not think terrible things about yourself, even if someone's mad at you. No, that's an option.
Yeah.
We think like if someone's mad at us, then I have to yell at myself then,
Yeah. That's
like,
so true.
Not necessary.
Yeah. And what I kind of like to think about when people are mad at us, and here's the thing as well, like you don't really know. Like they could be mad at you right now and you don't even know.
Exactly.
And I love to say to people, like what you think like what other people think of you is none of your business is kind of a common thing. I've totally lost my train of thought then, because I don't know if people can hear, but someone's banging on the door. Oh. So my brain is like, oh my God, what's happening? Someone's trying to steal my car or something, right? That's my brain just doing its thing. Yeah, I might just edit this bit out, Maria.
No, that's totally fine. Well, one thing I was going to say about that is, I was coaching someone a few months ago, and that's such a beautiful example of all of this. And she was just sort of very concerned about, people being mad at her, which, as we all are, like this is all super normal, as I said. But it was sort of a beautiful example she gave me of how, like, there was a situation she had with a friend, and the friend sort of had these like very specific things that she wanted my client to do. My client did them, and then the friend was still very mad at her. And she was like, okay, that proved to me that I need to try even harder. I'm like, actually, what that proves is that no matter what you do, your friend was going to be mad. She's having clearly some thoughts that she wants to be mad at you about. No, you did exactly as she asked, and she was still mad. So that's sort of proof. Instead of proof that you need to try harder, it's proof that you actually don't need to try, because she was going to be mad at you either way, right?
Yes.
So it's better. It's really about the person's thoughts. Like, clearly she had some thoughts about it.
Yeah, that's so true, and very liberating if we can kind of come to see that. Like, what if, like, we can't do anything to change how people think about us, whether we're the best friend ever or the most supportive daughter or whatever. Right. They're going to think what they want anyway, but their like thoughts about us are also just thoughts, and they're also experiencing holiday brain, right? So it's never really about us at all. It's about our thoughts. And thoughts are always coming and going and freaking out and rising and falling, like, yet we're paying so much attention to something which is ultimately transient.
Yeah, we kind of have this tendency too to, like you said, other people also have holiday brains and just human brains, and they come up with all sorts of bullshit because social conditioning has affected them too. But we somehow think if someone else says something, then it must be true. Like, no, their brain is just as sort of running around coming up with nonsense as yours.
Exactly that, exactly. And like the conditioning that we mentioned as well, like everyone has their kind of very unique conditioning, although big buckets of it are the same. Like you mentioned before, maybe particular groups have experienced different kinds of conditioning, right? So if we're all running around during this time and we're all experiencing our own flavor of holiday brain, then wouldn't it be cool if we could kind of give other people slack as well? Like we're talking about how specifically we can have a nicer experience of the holidays, but we could also do that by understanding that others are also kind of freaking out in their own way, whatever that looks like to them. So if someone's like short with you, like your partner or boss or whomever, or your mother-in-law is really going on and on and on and on about like how she's vegan now, right? No problem, mother-in-law. Like they're all experiencing the holiday brain thing too. So if we can kind of see that, like even if I think about it now, it kind of makes me feel instantly a bit like more compassionate, like, oh yeah, okay. And that makes me like less inclined to react to their, like it's all our own holiday brains arguing with each other. We're okay. Like we're okay over here with the real humans. Just let the holiday brains argue.
I know. Yeah, when you think about a time when you were mad at someone, it very likely, if you dig into it, it wasn't about the other person. It was just about your own, sort of thoughts you were having at the moment. You were feeling maybe insecure about something. You were stressed about something. You took it out on someone. They probably thought it's something I did. It most likely wasn't something they did.
Yes.
So, and like you said, just have compassion, since knowing how much of a mess our own brain is, just think everyone else has like the same mess in their heads. So we're all just doing our best.
We are. Yeah, we are. And that kind of fills me with like a nice feeling, like we are just doing our best. And can't we all just enjoy like the holidays together and expect holiday brain? It's already there. It's coming. It's doesn't mean anything. It's just what a brain does. That's what a brain does. Like, and if that's going to be happening anyway, then how can we kind of like like, I think sometimes the word acceptance can be kind of loaded, or how do I accept something? But if holiday brain is coming anyway, how can we kind of like just live, like we said before, like in harmony with that? Yeah. And just expect you've got holiday brain, everyone has, that's just what happens when we're human.
Exactly. I love that. I think that's a nice note to end on. What do you think?
Yeah. I would just say to people as well, it is an absolutely crazy time of year. And if what we've said, if you're like, oh, like that sounds nice in theory, but I don't really kind of see how that's possible to like see my brain as a holiday brain, like it's actually true. Like if your thoughts are looking like super true and you can't really differentiate with the holiday brain and the real you, then contact me or Maria or both of us, and we'd love to like talk to you about that a bit more and hopefully maybe shine a light on that and make it a bit easier.
Absolutely. Do you want to tell people how to find you in case they're looking at the video on my feed and they don't know about you?
Oh yes, so you can find me on Instagram at Siobhán Friel, and I'm going to put up a thing here so you can see how to spell my name, or my website is siobhanfriel.com.
Perfect. And
same to you, Maria. Where can people find you?
Yes, my Instagram is rest over grind with underscore between each word, so rest_over_grind. And my website is restovergrind.com, no underscores, just one word.
Okay. That's awesome.
That was great. Thank you so much for chatting with me. And hopefully we've made someone's holiday a little bit easier.
I hope so. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.